There's another Buffett quote about, we're talking about Venn diagrams and circles here. And he said, if you're questioning your circle of competence, you're not in it. If you're in any way questioning, am I good at this? You're not.
Hey everybody, it's John Lamberton here alongside my good friend and business partner, Mr. Jason Brockman. We are here for another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast, where as always, it is our job to help you get more customers and make more money without just working harder. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this month's episode.
Okay, we've got something a little bit different to our usual podcast today. We're doing a bit of live coaching. We are joined by 1%er, Michael Oliver. Michael, welcome to the AOB podcast.
Hi, John. Hi, Jason.
Good morning.
Nice to be here.
Great to have you here. Now, what we're going to do today, Michael, is we're going to talk about hedgehogs. We're going to talk about the hedgehog concept. This is an area that 1%ers know quite a bit about. We do talk about it a lot. Listeners to the AOB podcast will have heard us talk about the hedgehog many times, I'm sure. However, by the end of this call, everybody is going to know exactly what a hedgehog is and why they need one. So you've done quite a bit of homework for this call as well, haven't you, Michael? You've watched our hedgehog coaching call that we did probably 2 years ago now, didn't you?
It was. Well, it was just it was just after lockdown. Everyone was talking about, we're out of lockdown now. we're out of...
Not dated in any way.
No. Yeah, you can tell exactly when things are from, as pre-lockdown or before or after. So that I watched that. I'll be honest, John. You mentioned this to me when we were chatting about a week ago. You said, "Oh, this isn't your hedgehog," and I must confess, I didn't really know what you meant. And I went, and then you explained it, and then I've gone away, and I haven't read the book Good to Great, but I've done a bit of research on what a hedgehog is, and I've had a little think about what mine could be. Yeah, so just a really useful exercise, actually reflecting on it. So yeah, thank you for initiating that.
Exactly. It's been such a useful exercise so many times. As you said, it is a reference to the Jim Collins book, Good to Great. That's where the hedgehog concept comes from. And it's one of those concepts that when we first talked about it, along with many of the concepts from that book, we said, oh, that's nice. That'll be quite useful. And now, well, it must be nearly 4 years later now, we're still talking about it. And because we're still talking about it 4 years later, I think that shows you this stuff is really, really powerful. Jace, do you want to explain what the hedgehog concept is to the listeners who may not know?
I'd love to. So it comes from, as you say, Good to Great, a book by Jim Collins, and it's the concept of finding the right thing for you to be doing in your business and ensuring that it's that you're doing the right thing. So it's based upon one of those Venn diagrams with three interlinking circles, where the middle piece is the sweet spot. You're going to be looking at what you're most passionate about, what you care about the most, what you've got the most drive to do, what you want to see. So that's one of the success things you need to be thinking about. You need to be thinking about what you can be the best in the world at. What are people going to go, yeah, that's the person I need to go to. That's the product I need because it is the best in the world. And you need to have a think about what's going to drive your economic engine, going to be paying you the money that you need to have in order to actually have a successful business at the end of it. So interlinking the passion, being the knowledge and being the best in the world at, and also the payments coming in, makes you successful. Having a successful business gives you that sweet spot. If you have 2 out of the 3, you can still be successful, but having all 3 will elevate your business and drive your business forward further, faster.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we quite often see it with 1%ers that often it is 2 out of 3. It is, it's normally they've got the passion and they're good at it, but the money isn't coming. But we have seen it where the money is what they're chasing because they've seen a business model that works, or they've gone into something because it pays well. They are good at it, but it absolutely grinds their gears. They absolutely hate it. So I think the thing there is the hedgehog concept is sustainable. If you can get all 3, it is sustainable, because if you do something you're really good at and you really enjoy, but there's no money in it, sooner or later, you're going to have to pay the bills. If you do something you're good at that earns you money, but you don't enjoy, you're going to burn out at some point. And if you do something you're really passionate about that you can earn loads of money doing, but you're not very good at, you're going to get found out.
Yeah.
Michael, when you think about your kind of career so far, if you picture that Venn diagram, and again, those listening to the podcast, try and picture that Venn diagram of the 3 interlocking circles. Can you place each of your businesses, each of your jobs that you've done in, like somewhere in those? Was it a 2 out of 3? Was it a 1 out of 3? If so, which ones?
Yeah, I actually did that very exercise, John. It was quite enlightening because I've moved around a lot in my career. I started out as an engineer, moved into consultancy. I've done on my list there's six different roles I've done, and within those there's different jobs doing the same role, and I kind of rated each of them low, medium, high on whether I was good at it, whether it earned a decent amount of money, and whether I enjoyed it. And it's difficult because I'm comparing what I was doing when I was 25 to what I was doing when I was 45.
Yeah. You don't need as much money when you're 25, do you?
Yeah, exactly. So, it jumps out that my first job I ever had was actually my best job. So it's gone downhill ever since. But, it wasn't a lot of money I was on, but I was 25. I had no commitments. All I had to do was pay my rent in my shared house, and everything else was beer money, so it was good money. I was part of the team that designed the Ford Focus, I was design components of that. So it was quite high status, interesting, creative work, and I was reasonably good at it. But so that was interesting. And then I've kind of jumped around since, trying to maybe chase money a bit more. And then things, as I say, some were good money, and I really hated them. Some were, a mixture of the three. I guess the thing about it was this. What's prompted this conversation is when we were talking about my business a week ago. Probably I've only got one out of the 3 in my current business, and that's kind of, you can see kind of where it's not working there when you think that, it's not really making very much money. Well, it's not making any money. I think I'm reasonably good at it, but I'm not particularly passionate about it, not particularly enjoying it. I don't get up every morning, ooh, so that's been interesting just to think about it on that level. It's difficult, actually. It's not so easy because it's quite relative, and if you reframe it and you think of it, the same job in a slightly different way, it comes out with a different rating. If one aspect of a job you enjoy and you're good at it, but that particular part of it doesn't, isn't particularly lucrative, then it's not an easy exercise to condense 30 odd years of work into little boxes, but it was a useful exercise. I found it quite interesting.
Yeah,
I think some I see lots of 1%ers obviously on our one-to-ones and things like that, and I think sometimes the circumstances dictate whereabouts you appear on those circles. And I think as businesses slide a wee bit, money becomes a bit tighter, then you sacrifice 1 or 2 or 3 or not, or sometimes if it's really dire, all 3 of those circles in order to chase things. And I see lots of different 1%ers, and I can kind of spot as those circles are diminishing, and as you can see them kind of all going all into, actually this should be driving me loads of money, so I'm going to put all my effort into the money bit, but forgetting about the passion and forgetting about being best in the world. You just kind of see that sliding scale between them, and as those circles shrink, all in on the economic engine. So it's really interesting, just as I say, from an outsider in, if you like, watching this happen to lots and lots of 1%ers to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was quite an interesting exercise we did at 1% Live last year, Jace, wasn't it? So we drew the hedgehog Venn diagram on like a flip chart, and as we went around the room talking about different business owners, we were able to point at an exact spot on that diagram and say, well, I think you're here. So what's missing? Are you, can you be the best in the world at it? And again, I do pick fault with Jim Collins' descriptions at times about, can you be the best in the world? You don't have, for an ambitious lifestyle business owner, you don't have to be the best in the world at your particular craft. If you are, So if you're a dentist, you don't need to be the best dentist in the world to make this work. You just need to be a good dentist. Okay. So I think we are lowering our sights slightly there, but we're able to point at it and say, look, if you're not very good at what you do, then is that just a skills gap? Is that just you're lacking some knowledge? Is that just you need a bit of training? Is it just you need another few thousand hours of purposeful practice? If so, would that drag you into the middle? Or would that work that you need to do to close that skill gap lose the passion? In which case, you've lost that. And we could almost plot a diagram. You could almost plot the X's on the Venn diagram as to where business owners are at that time. And you said it, Jace, it's open to interpretation about how you feel about your business at that time. There's days where you're incredibly passionate about your business and you can't wait to get started. And there's days when you think, should I go and get a job?
Yeah, well, definitely thought that. Yes.
The other thing is, it's because you are an ambitious lifestyle business owner, you have the power to change almost anything about your business. You can decide not to serve a particular type of customer. You can decide to go after a different route to market. You can decide that this is the way we do things around here. So you can choose to work in your hedgehog area, and there may be an area of your business where maybe you're not passionate about or you're not very good at, that you can get someone else in your business, or you can employ someone to do that who is good at that or who is passionate about that. The example we always use there is the sports betting business. So that is a business that primarily focuses on horse racing. I mean, I'm speaking on your behalf here, Jace. I'm certainly not passionate about horse racing. I just about know one end of a horse from another, and I can blag my way through some of the terminology, but I'm not deeply passionate about it. I'm certainly not the best in the world at it, but I can work with people who are. So I work with people who are very passionate about horse racing. I work with people who are very good in that area. But what drives the economic engine of that business is marketing it. And that is something I am very passionate about and I'm very good at. And I can be that for that business, letting go of the other stuff that I'm not good at and that I'm not passionate about. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense, John. And yeah, it's interesting you say that, because that's that's kind of the exactly the thought process I've arrived at in my business. I'm not, my little e-commerce business I run now, or the business says, I'm not passionate about any of them. But I guess it's to quote it. It's probably because I'm doing the wrong, and I'm not enjoying it right now, and that's probably because I'm doing the wrong thing in the company. And almost, I never thought about your sports betting business, but it's similar to that, really. It's kind of, you guys are kind of on top of the sports betting business, running it, working on the business rather than in the business, to use the phrase, whereas I'm in my business and it's not really where I should be, where I want to be. And that's kind of the core, or the conclusion I've come to in my ponderings in the last couple of days, is that's where what could flip the circle of passion to not being passionate to being passionate. If I was to just change where I am in the business, what my role is. So that's if that makes sense, does that?
Absolutely. I don't think you can underestimate the value of being passionate in the business, in fairness, and really caring, because it's so noticeable when you're not least to yourself, but to people that you're dealing with, your clients, your customers, your landing pages, your adverts, whatever that piece looks like. Because if you're not passionate about the topic, or not passionate about the bit of the business you're really down in the doldrums. It is all affected by it, and that's then drives things down, because you're not become the best in it, and your economic engine gets to fail a bit and stall and stuff, and it all just becomes a wee bit problematic in the business. But I think for me, the biggest circle on there is that passion piece for your business. Generally caring, generally giving a shit about it, and generally waking up in the morning going, yeah, maybe not singing "The Hills Are Alive" with the Sound of Music, but actually, getting. I nearly did that. I stopped myself just in case there's any copyright, but maybe not.
I think you're out of copyright now. We're okay. Go for it, Jace.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it's just actually, but you do need to want to do something. You do want to have that, don't you? That's the thing.
Yeah, and what I want to do is what you've just said there. The words you've said there: ambitious lifestyle business. Sorry, Jason. What
the hills are alive with the sound of music. No,
all right. Yeah. No, I don't want. It's not a West End musical business, so I think we're all right there. But it's not a lifestyle business what I'm doing right now, because it's constant on the go 7 days a week of doing little tweaks and twisting knobs and stuff. And really, if you were to say to me, you could work in this business 10 hours a week, just checking in every now and again, steering the ship, and you're not writing. What I was doing yesterday, I was writing an email series. Today I've got to write some Facebook ads. It's not very, they're okay, but it's not my skill set, and that's something I enjoy doing. But if I could change what I did in this same business, then it could become a bit more of a hedgehog, if you see what I mean there.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously I said that passion is probably one of the most important things. It's one of the 5 magic ingredients in the big ideas for small businesses. Desire is in there, and desire and passion are obviously interlinked, aren't they? Without that, then actually, everything else is much more tricky, I think, is the...
Definitely, yeah. It's, it's... You've got to enjoy what you're doing. You perform a lot better, and the results are a lot better, and you handle knocks a lot better if you're enjoying it and you're happy doing it.
It's you'll do what you need to do to figure out how to be good at it, and to figure out how to make it work for your economic engine if you are passionate enough. And if you're not passionate enough, you're going to be beaten by someone that is. There's, for those watching on the video, Warren Buffett is always looking over my shoulder there. Now that book is called Tap Dancing to Work, and it's one of Buffett's many quotable sayings that he said, "I feel so privileged." I'm going to butcher this. Isn't the exact quote. He said, "I'm so privileged to do what I do that I tap dance to work every day, feeling like I'm laying on my back painting the Sistine Chapel." It's like, I've never had to work a day in my life. And there's a guy who is now 95 years old and probably still, quote, working every hour of every day, because it isn't work. I'm tap dancing to work, and I'm laying on my back painting the Sistine Chapel. I'm having the time of my life because this is what I do for fun. And I think it's fair to say that Warren Buffett's pretty good at what he does. And I think he's done fairly well out of it as well. But it all started as an 11-year-old kid buying his first share. And that passion for investing, that passion for reading business reports, which for most people is Dollar's dishwater. But for Warren Buffett, that is absolutely his hedgehog. And one of the crucial parts of the hedgehog, certainly from Jim Collins' Good to Great, was that when you know what your hedgehog is, it's saying no to anything but that. The companies that get distracted, the companies that follow the shiny penny syndrome, that just go, well, we've been successful in this area, so let's take on a new thing. I was listening to a podcast yesterday. Guy's very successful, very good at what he does. And he says, people keep saying to me, I really enjoy your podcast. It's amazing what you do. You're my favorite podcaster. Please, could you do something slightly different? He was like, no. Because if I do something slightly different, I don't have time to do the thing that you just told me you absolutely love and that I was put on this earth to do and I'm devoting my entire life to. Why would you want me to go off on a tangent? Why would you want me to do something? And he didn't say this, but yes, actually, why would you want me to do something that isn't my hedgehog?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Should we address why it's called a hedgehog? We haven't answered that yet, have we?
Oh, yeah.
I did wonder that, to be honest. When you said,
it's one of those things, I think, when people first join the 1% Club, we're like, okay, we talk a lot in this club about flamingos, pumpkins, hedgehogs, and flywheels. Those are kind of the main ones. And we need to put together, we have now put together a glossary of these. So the reason it's called the hedgehog is it's the famous, quote famous, story of the fox and the hedgehog, which is one of those fables from long ago. I prefer to liken it to Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. Okay, so the fox is Wile E. Coyote, the hedgehog is Roadrunner. So the fox, Wile E. Coyote, he's got lots of different ways that he could attack the hedgehog, the Roadrunner. Most of them coming from Acme Incorporated and involving like massive springs, sticks of dynamite, rocket-propelled shoes, those sort of things. The hedgehog and the Roadrunner have but one line of defense. For the Roadrunner, it's just running fast, or I think it's actually being lucky is his biggest thing. And for the hedgehog, spikes. Big, blooming spikes. And that's it. But the hedgehog only needs one line of defense because it's a really, really good one. It's incredibly effective. And it's the one thing that they have evolved over millennia to do. They don't need a secondary line of defense because they've just got spikes. That's all we need. And it's this idea that when you've got a hedgehog, you only need one thing. You only need to do one business. And I've said many times before about the Branson effect. You know, Richard Branson is an outlier. Most successful business owners do not say, I've got a successful record company here, so I'm going to start an airline. Most people don't do that. But because Richard Branson has done that and been successful doing that, we all think, oh, that's what we need to do to be successful. When actually what we really need to do to be successful is go, I've got a really successful record company. That's my hedgehog. That's what I'm doing for the rest of my days. I'm going to devote my entire life to this being the best record company in the world.
It's like Warren Buffett, as you say, John. He's just does one thing. He invests. Yeah. He reads about companies. He finds value, invests, and he sits on his hands, to quote a phrase.
Sitting on your hands. There's a good idea. Has anyone given you that advice recently, Michael?
Oh, somebody might have said something recently, John. Yeah, somebody. Thanks, Jason.
I think it's interesting to take on Richard Branson a little bit there because, yes, he runs lots and lots of companies, but his hedgehog is being the best CEO in the world. He is really passionate about building the best team, having the right players, and creating the wealth from the companies that he creates. The wealth from that is obviously his economic engine. So actually, he is the best CEO in the world, but actually his individual companies, they are the best in their field because he puts the right team in place to manage each of those companies. He's got the right people around there, and each one of those is a different hedgehog, but he has many of those hedgehogs in his hedgehog house for want of a different thing. So his is a little bit different. So you can't align the same with ourselves in taking on lots of different businesses and trying to run each one because our hands are normally in them, where his hands are out and they're being run by his own team and stuff like that. So I think the analogy works really well, but it's great to explain that actually you're not going to be that Richard Branson because the mindset is completely different. The position of the hedgehog is different completely compared to the actual individual businesses.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that like his hedgehog, if you like, is starting businesses, having an idea, getting off the ground with lot of publicity. He's good at getting publicity, isn't he? But then he doesn't sit around and run them. I don't remember the name of the guy, the Greek chap who founded EasyJet.
Stelios.
Stelios. Yes, they kicked him out eventually, didn't they? Because he's good at starting businesses, they found, but not good at running businesses. It's the same kind of thing, really, because he started Easy Car and Easy Hotels,
Easy Cruise, yeah.
So he kind of did a similar sort of thing, but he was good at starting businesses, but not so much running them.
Yeah.
I guess Michael O'Leary's the flip side of that. He runs Ryanair like a finely oiled machine, doesn't he?
Yeah. Customer service is not his hedgehog, is it? Can you be the best in the world? Deeply passionate about customer service.
Definitely not.
But again, there's a perfect example of, and I get you could argue that Stelios has got that hedgehog concept of, well, what are you deeply passionate about? Disrupting industries with a low-cost model. What are you really good at? Implementing that low-cost model. What drives the economic engine? Scale. And he's tried to do that across the cruise lines and the hotels and car hire. Branson's definitely done that because, again, what is he really passionate about? Disrupting tired, old industries. Let's be disruptive. What is he really good at? Going in, disrupting, creating noise, putting a good management structure in, and then walking away. Michael O'Leary at Ryanair, running an airline. That's his hedgehog. And what is he deeply passionate about? He's deeply passionate about driving his economic engine. What's he really good at? He's really good at driving his economic engine. But you can't just make money. You've got to figure out a way to do that in a way that customers will appreciate it. Dare I say it, if you're running that sort of business, you've got to have tough skin. You've got to love the industry. The amount of flack that's been thrown at Michael O'Leary over the past 30 years, and he's still taking it, and I think kind of enjoys taking it.
Yeah, he definitely. There seems to be the vibe from Ryanair, isn't it? Everyone hates us, we don't care. The Millwall of the travel industry.
But I've yet to hire a Ryan car or book a Ryan cruise.
No.
He hasn't leveraged that brand because he knows what his hedgehog is, and he's absolutely staying there.
Yeah.
There's another Buffett quote about, we're talking about Venn diagrams and circles here, and he said, if you're questioning your circle of competence, you're not in it. If you're in any way questioning, am I good at this? You're not, because you're questioning it. You need to absolutely know, and that's why if you draw those 3 circles in that Venn diagram, the hedgehog, the sweet spot, is a tiny, tiny fraction of the entire surface area. So it is going to be a very small sweet spot, and staying there is difficult because you're going to have people, if you have any success, people are going to say to you, why don't you do this as well? You've been successful in this area. Why don't you do that? How many times have we been asked to do additional stuff, Jace, for the 1% Club?
Yeah, totally. We know where our sweet spot. We know what our members want and like and do, and that's what we concentrate on.
Yeah. So, what homework did we give you then, Michael, over the past week or so to help identify what your hedgehog could be?
Well, I started off by looking into see what the whole concept is. I must what you were saying earlier about it being it's very corporate, the good to great model. It's kind of Fortune 500-y, I think. And I think I probably looked at it a while back because you probably recommended it on one of your book calls or something. And immediately closed the book and walked away because it said best in the world. Who are you going to be the best? Well, that's not me. I'm out already. But I kind of interpreted it by applying it to me rather than a business.
Best in your world.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm not even the best Michael Oliver anymore, thanks to certain Premier League referees. But
you're better at refereeing than him, I think. Do you get a lot of flack on socials like every other week when VAR makes a bad decision?
I do. People tag me in. Michael Oliver's I won't say the rest of it. Depends which team you're on. Obviously, the recipient of the bad decision is the beneficiary of the bad decisions. Obviously, quite like him. But sorry, where was I? Yes, he's. I applied it to me as rather than a business first. I thought, well, what are my skills? What do I enjoy doing? What I gave myself a bit of a watered down version. Just what am I good at? What's my skills? And I kind of went around a bit. My good friend ChatGPT helped. I was asking it, how do I list my a good conversation, and it came up with a lot of stuff which was good. As we discussed, kind of I'm quite good at pulling disparate pieces of information together and putting them into an easy to understand picture. But then it just kind of occurred to me, as again when I'm reflecting on it again, next iteration around is all of these things, these skills require me to work on a daily basis in the business, and it just kind of came to me in a flash that that's not what I want. I want to work on a business. I need to pull myself out with this day-to-day nuts and bolts of stuff, and I do feel I would be. It doesn't. Again, going back to what you're saying about your sports betting business, it doesn't matter to me if I'm really, really passionate about that business. As long as I'm not massively repulsed by it, I can kind of sit there and say, well, do some strategy planning, do some project planning, some people management, and steer the business. So that's kind of what I feel passionate about. That's kind of what I feel I would enjoy and feel like I'm good at. So it's kind of come round in a circle that I started off, this business isn't right for me because I've only got one out of the 3 circles. And I went round and what can I do instead then? And I've come back right round to this business could work for me if it made some money is one, but that's parked that for now. But if I worked in and perhaps the reason why it doesn't make money is because it's not been the engine hasn't been properly run, with me in the middle. Not, I'm a bottleneck in the business. I've got some VAs working for me, but they feed everything into me, and then I have to review it and then feed it back to them, and they feed it back again. And it's if I was to just let them go and get on with it, but steer it a bit better, then the whole thing would run a lot more smoothly. And I do believe it can make money. I do. We've had conversations, haven't we, Jason, about the market and so on that I'm working in, and it could work, I think. But yeah, so it's been a really interesting exercise. I've kind of gone round in a spiral and kind of come into the centre of the circle, if you like. I looked at my skills and my passions and so on, but then and it's been really informative to self-reflect on that and to think what would work for me, what would be my hedgehog. So yeah, definitely.
I think it's really, really important. I mean, most business owners don't have the time to do the reflecting and the thinking back and actually just elevating yourself above what it is that you're doing. So at the moment, it's you work in a certain niche with certain products, and actually that's fantastic. It's a multi-billion-pound industry or dollar industry, so there is a market for what it is that you have. But if you take yourself out of the grind of the individual products and things, and actually it's the bringing that information together, packaging it in a way that's receptive to the market, and then reselling it as the thing that you're doing, that's the piece that you are passionate about, not necessarily the topic. So I think, yeah, that reflection and taking the helicopter view of the business and yourself and you within it is something which a lot of business owners do not afford themselves that luxury. And I think it's a luxury that's imperative. It's like a bar of chocolate, really. You need to have that luxury to do that in order
to be honest, I probably wouldn't have thought about it if you guys hadn't prompted me like a week or so ago. So yeah, thank you for that. It's been helpful.
So that's the passion side. And that's an area that you said, so you could find an area of the business that you're passionate about. Is the area that you're not passionate about essential, though, for the driving of the economic engine?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of working at the moment in turning the business into a profitable business, and the driver for that is marketing, as you said earlier. So I'm working. I've jumped around all over the place. I'm very much a shiny penny person as well, but I've decided, right, all my competitors are on Facebook, so I'm just going to do Facebook. And so I'm running my Facebook campaigns. I'm running my own Facebook ads. I'm writing my own emails to go in the back of that. And maybe, that I should outsource that, either, hire someone to do it for me internally or get an agency or whatever. TBD. I'll think about it. Well, I've got a few ideas already, actually, that I already had bubbling. But maybe I get this off my plate And I mean, the finances are the restrictor at the moment, because it's obviously a lot cheaper for me to do it. But is it going to get me to where I want to be? Is it going to get me to this ambitious lifestyle business? It's not. It's not. Hasn't so far. So you know, what's the definition of madness? Is that Warren Buffett? Oh no.
It was Einstein, wasn't it? Yeah, definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting different results.
So yeah, maybe I'll have to think about creatively on the finance side, but I mean, it doesn't have to be expensive. If I was to pull myself out and get someone, I mean, there's two things I kind of do really. Is one is to edit the copy that people are writing for me, and two is to run Facebook ads. And both of those things I shouldn't really be, that's not the $1,000 an hour jobs, that should be working on, I guess. So.
Yeah, it's one of those, again, if you look at it through the lens of the hedgehog, are you really passionate about editing copy and putting up Facebook ads? Are you really, really, really good at doing that? And does it matter if you're really, 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 really good at editing a few lines of copy, or do you just need to be good enough?
Yeah.
And actually, does that drive your economic engine, or how do you scale this up? How do you take this out to the masses? That's, again, what drives that economic engine? We said just now about Ryanair and EasyJet. Scale and low cost is what drives that economic engine. So an area in which something is very expensive and can only be done on a small scale does not drive their economic engine. So they know that actually if someone comes to them with an opportunity to leverage the Easy brand, we're not going to do that because that doesn't drive our economic engine. That's not what our hedgehog is. That's not, again, it's not what we're good at. So, and we said to you when we met, and I said to some students that I was chatting with last week about hedgehogs, look, start with making 3 lists. Just everything you are passionate about, even if it's not business related, even if you think, well, I couldn't earn any money doing that. Just don't discount anything to begin with. Create that list, just free form, just brain dump everything you're passionate about. What are you good at? And ignore that best in the world label. Just what are you really good at? And again, don't throttle it. Don't go, but I don't really enjoy doing that. What are you good at? And then finally, what could you earn money doing? And again, that drives the economic engine. It's a little bit corporate-y. It's a little bit Fortune 500-y. But what could you earn money doing? What would pay your bills? What would the world reward you handsomely for? If you only need to earn 40 grand a year doing something you love, what would earn you 40 grand a year? You don't need something that's going to be $1 million idea. What could earn you enough for your dream lifestyle business? Then you take those 3 lists. Hopefully there's some crossover. Hopefully there's some stuff that you enjoy that you're also good at. Hopefully there's some stuff that you're good at that can lead to earning money. Hopefully there's some stuff that earns money that you'd enjoy. And then that's where you start to see, well, actually, if I picked this from column A, this from column B, and this from column C, and I put them together, I could create a business around that. And that's where you said your friend ChatGPT, everyone's friend, ChatGPT or Claude or whoever, whatever your AI of choice is, if you ask it to help you create those 3 lists, ask it to correlate those 3 lists, and ask it, what business could I create around this hedgehog? And you can again reference Jim Collins, the Hedgehog Concept. You may even be able to ask your favorite AI, based on all of our previous interactions, what have I missed off the list? What do you know that I'm good at that I don't? What do you know that I'm passionate about that I don't? And you can actually use that to leverage it and find, because it is all about finding that sweet spot. And each business that you're running can be run slightly differently. Every business that you want to go into could be a different business. And if you just get used to plotting it, put a little X on that Venn diagram, where are you now? And where could you move it? If you're off kilter because you haven't got the skills, can you get the skills? If you haven't got the passion, can you drop an element of the job or an element of the business that you're not passionate about and replace it with something that you are? And if the economic engine, the money-making side of things isn't there, you have to get that there, because Without that, you aren't going to be able to pay the bills. So does that require more research? Does it mean, and we had this conversation about your business, Michael, didn't we? It's like, well, actually, there's at least half a dozen companies chucking significant money at ads and still chucking significant money at ads months or years later. They're not going to do that unless there's a model that works. No one has a bottomless pit of money to throw at ads, particularly ads that are attributable. You can actually monitor the ROI of those ads. No one leaves ads running for years that are unprofitable. So there is an economic engine there. What does it look like? How do we reverse engineer it? Again, use your AI of choice. Go evaluate this company, please.
Good idea. Yeah, definitely. Definitely, John.
Love it. I just want to pick up before we finish on the sit on your hands. I have lots of one-to-ones, and sometimes the 1% is kind of really shocked when I say, stop doing that. Take a break. Don't do anything else. Don't touch it. Don't do anything else. And your face was one of those, in fairness, that was kind of like, what do you mean? I can't tinker. I can't play with. I can't do that. Just sit on your hands, Michael. I speak to lots of 1%ers, and often you just need permission not to do something. That's cool. I'm giving you that permission. Take a break. Leave it alone. Don't play with it anymore, and just give it a chance. And it's nice sometimes just to get that permission, I think, really.
It's counterintuitive in terms of the way of working. I've got to do something. That's my job. You see, this is, again, I'm working in the business, so I've got to tinker with it. That's kind of what I do. But Jason said, leave it, let it run, and then come back in a week and see what it looks like in a week. So yeah, it was. I think it was three of you spent half an hour trying to drop it into me, didn't you? So it's took a little while, but yeah, definitely makes sense.
So sometimes you need that pause. You need to stop. You need that thing to reflect. You need to grab some data. Maybe that was your thing, really, was sit on your hands to get the data. Let's get some data first before you make the next decision. Because when you're stuck in the weeds and you're chasing the economic engine, you're trying to make it drive. You do grab at some straws and you do try anything you can, and that's natural. But sometimes you just need to hang on a second, stop, pause, reflect, get some information, and then be able to make a better informed decision. And for you, that's where we were. Michael, what a fantastic podcast! Thank you for joining us today. I always ask a question at the end about what does an ambitious lifestyle business look like for you, and just wondered what does an ambitious lifestyle what does that ambitious lifestyle business look like for you?
I mean, to me, it's just. I guess we've kind of arrived at it with this whole thought process today. Is something I can run, kind of work on a business, have people do the nuts and bolts, the coalface stuff for me, and I've got just a certain number of hours a week. I'm flexible on my time. Is basically the crucial bit. I can, as you said, Jason, not many business owners have the time or take the time to reflect and modify. So to me, the ambitious lifestyle business, the crucial thing is time freedom to do. It's not necessarily not working. It's just working when on your own terms and your own time scales. And that's it to me. Time.
Love it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Michael. I'm going to ask you one last question, which we don't normally ask on the podcast. Michael, what's your hedgehog?
My hedgehog is running an e-commerce business 10 hours a week, 2 or 3 of those e-commerce businesses that I run strategically but not operationally. Does that sound about right?
Sounds good. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed that, dear listener. So a little bit of a different sort of podcast this month. Hope you've enjoyed it. And please do let us know, either in the comments on your podcast platform of choice, or you can email me direct if you like, john@bigidea.co.uk. Let me know, what is your hedgehog? Have a think about that. Please do ponder that, and I'll speak to you next month. See you later.
So there we are, another episode in the can. How was it for you? Please let us know. However you listen to these podcasts, please leave a review on that platform. Let us know what we can do better, what you like, what you don't like, and how we can improve to make this show even better for you. We'll see you next time.